number 3, because that tells us.
Now your mess is mine.
Thus far, this was the most beautiful day of the hike. This looks like Hadrian's Wall, but it's actually just probably rock stolen from the wall and used for shelter from other walls. But there's climbing all throughout the day. There's a lot of ascending hills, descending hills, a lot of cut through and gates. This is where we pass from one field to another. Sometimes there's an easy gate like that. Sometimes it's what's called a kissing gate.
Luck be on my side tonight. You're the reason that I feel so strong.
See if I can spot the winter lamp.
I'm hanging on. You know you gave me all the time.
Finally, we see a first piece of reconstructed wall. There's an inscription on the back, but we could barely read it. Then back into the fields of sheep, and we walked for a while until we got to a fort. This is an honesty box, pretty nice one. There's also a sign saying that sheep worrying is a crime. Here's the fort that we got to. This fort had some of it still intact, but in the back it had just the most beautiful view. This fort is called Bird Oswald. Here's how we would step over from one field to another. This is a step over gate. Then just kind of a half step over with a gate on top. I'll take a picture of us getting over it. This one's a little bit more interesting. There are actual ladder gates too, where you have to climb up a ladder and down a ladder. Those are harder as the day goes on. And then we're just walking uphill. You'll see there's a lot of uphill. Still pretty rolling at this point. Every mile there's what's called a mile fort. And in that mile fort there would be like 6 or 8 soldiers that would live. This is the back view of the fort, just gorgeous.
It's a motorcycle drive-by, baby giant condos.
We passed several lakes today, and streams and rivers, crossing them with bigger bridges than before, and then back up a hill and back down a hill, through a little bit of city, but not much city today. Lots of big meadows with flowers. And you can see we're walking in the ditch at this part, and then way in the distance we see these hills start to rise up. We go through the cows, lots of cows that did not want to move out of the way, through one of the gates, and then we started climbing again, with seeing what looks like the wall way far in the distance on top of those mountains. Ran into this castle.
Castle from the 1300s. Been here a long time, but fallen apart. But I want to show you something. And this castle, it's kind of what it looked like. It's called Thirlwall Castle. And this is what it would look like if you lived there. And if you had to poop, here's your bedroom, and you would poop right there, and the poop would fall out the window. So don't try that at our house.
After spending a little bit of time at the castle, found a nice mushroom bench, crossed another stream, started the climb again. And then started going up some big hills, but there's a reward of a lake up top, and the hills got bigger, and then we'd go up and down, and then the hills would get bigger. But then we got to what was going to be the hardest part of the hike. You could see it coming up, but it was also the most beautiful. So we keep passing through sheep fields. We find another quarry lake, and in this forest, Pastor Brent decided that he had been having a lot of pain in his foot. So I taped up his foot, and hopefully that made it a little bit easier for him to to go on throughout the journey, but he was hurting pretty bad. We all were. And here the real climbing starts. Down that valley, up the hill, down the valley, up the hill again, past a mile castle, and just look at this. Beautiful everywhere you look. Wind blowing on our face.
Beautiful out here. Hot and tired. Awesome. We came all the way across all these mountains, up and down, up and down, up and down. Following the wall as it goes. Down there to those. Highest point on the trail.